This is the Neoliberal podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Neoliberal podcast. And those of us who are going to be watching on YouTube channel, welcome. Of course, the podcast is going to be available in audio and in video. And so we have Dr. Nelva Lee with us, an amazing, beautiful woman who is very involved in the healthcare and education sector in Georgia. I understand that she is running to be the next superintendent of schools. Is that the case?
That's correct. Yes.
That is correct, and she's running, and she has years of over 20 years of experience working to help to develop the education system and working to provide opportunities in Georgia. And so we are so happy to have you, Dr. Nelva Lee.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're one. Well, we're just going to go right into it. I did send you some questions yesterday. One of the questions I asked you to tell me about. But before I do that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Nelva Lee?
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I have over 30 years of experience in healthcare administration. I also had my own vocational school for 20 years. So I ran that. It was a school that trained bilingual individuals to become medical interpreters. And I was the first chair of the National Board of Certification for medical interpreters as a result of my efforts to certify medical interpreters nationwide. And here in Georgia, I was appointed by Governor Kemp to be on the Department of Community Health. So quite a bit of experience both in healthcare as well as, in education.
What, I was reading and you mentioned medical interpreter. What is that? I do not know for the life of me. I said, I'm going to ask you that question. Who is a medical interpreter? What is medical interpretation?
Got it. So in the U.S., if you are limited English proficient, by law, you have the right to have a qualified trained interpreter, someone that can help bridge the language barriers between yourself and the medical profession, medical providers. And so oftentimes, those individuals have to be fully bilingual. Medical interpreters have to be fully bilingual, but also they have to be trained in confidentiality, in healthcare law. They have to be trained in medical terminology, anatomy and physiology. And so there's a lot of training that goes into it, not just their bilingual proficiency. And then once they do all of that, now with certification, they can also get certified. It's a national certification that they can take from state to state. And so I always encourage any individual that's limited English proficient to request a qualified trained medical interpreter.
Okay, thank you. Now, I read on your profile where you said you started and you led trade schools in your distinguished career. And of course, I did ask you to tell me about trade schools, what it is, how has your work in healthcare helped to develop trade schools?
Right. So let me tell you a little bit of the story of how I came up with this school.
Yeah.
So I was a director at Grady Health System. Grady is one of the largest public hospitals in the state of Georgia. And one of the programs in my department was interpretation services. However, at the time, this was in the early 2000s, there wasn't a lot of training programs available. So you would find training programs in the north, up in Boston and New York, things like that, or in the West, California, Washington State. But really, a lot of states in between had very few options. Georgia was one of them. And so when we wanted to train and qualify in our system, it was really difficult to find a training program. So we ended up having to fly someone out from California to come and train our interpreters. So after our interpreters were trained, I went up to our CEO and said, hey, we really could help solve this problem here in the state of Georgia. Why don't we start our own training program, and have other hospitals send their bilingual individuals to be trained by us. He passed on the idea, but it stayed with me so much so that I was able to start that program, and get it developed and get it, promoted. And like I said, before long, I became a subject expert in the field. And we worked on certification for about 2 to 3 years, and we were able to get that also launched. So I was an integral part of this in this industry.
And of course, part of your response, I realized you said that trade schools are career-focused education programs that equip students with practical job-ready skills in fields like healthcare, construction, electrical work, and technology without requiring a traditional four-year degree. They're one of the fastest paths to economic mobility, especially for students who are not best served by a purely academic track. And that you said your work in healthcare has made this issue very real for you as a licensed
That
nursing
is true.
administrator, so on and so forth. And you said that that's why you strongly advocate for integrating trade certification directly into high school, and that every student
That
in
is
Georgia,
correct.
and you said every student in Georgia should graduate not only with a diploma, but with a marketable skill, whether that's a certified nursing student and so forth, because it creates immediate income opportunities and reduces dependency on student loans. This is quite interesting. Tell me a little bit. So my question to you, I had a follow-up question. In terms of certification themselves often carry funding, materials, and institutional support. Now, and if certifications still carry costs, how does your model truly reduce reliance on student loans rather than simply shifting where the financial burden sits?
Well, in the state of Georgia specifically, we have what we call dual enrollment credits that you can get. And I'm driving, so you'll see the video there gets shady. So we have dual enrollment credits, and so students are already eligible for up to 30 credits of dual enrollment, where they can get college credits. So I simply am asking us to reallocate those funds to trade schools. And so
Okay.
most trade schools can be um, you can easily accommodate trade school certification with the monies that we are already allocating for dual enrollment.
Okay, so you're also advocating for state-funded certification, creating more trade school. I know we have some trade schools here in Philadelphia, providing more trade school certification,
Right.
public-private partnerships, employer-sponsored pipelines. You think that could help as well?
That is exactly what we're advocating for. And here's the beauty of it. If you're taking those students who are already thinking about what am I doing here in high school, none of the what I'm learning is applicable for the real world, right? A lot of students say that, sophomore, senior year, sophomore through the senior year in high school, they're having those conversations. You take those same students and you help them apply, very marketable skills and actually learn very marketable trades. uh,
Yeah,
you take that argument away, and it's a better use of our resources, right?
yeah,
Why
yeah.
are we spending all these extra dollars getting students just a little taste of what college is about? Why not give them an actual certification so that they're workforce ready on day one? And then if they want to go to college, the more the better, right? When they're done. But we need to have them where they're workforce ready day one.
All right, and I have a follow-up question in terms of, because I wanted to ask you about AI, the future of work and apprenticeship. Um,
Yes.
yes, and trade schools traditionally respond to current workforce demands, but how does your vision prepare students for a future shaped by AI, automation, and rapidly evolving industry?
That is the beauty of trades. Again,
Yeah.
I don't see AI taking a plumber's job anytime soon, an electrician's job, or a welder's job
Yeah. Okay.
anytime
Yeah.
soon. So a lot of trade certificates are AI proof.
Yeah.
So that is definitely one of the benefits of getting a trade certification.
Okay, thank you so much for answering. And I have some more. No, I was going to ask you about concrete bill, but I won't ask you about that yet because I want to delve into the fact that you have worked with the Georgia Department of Health. You're running for superintendent
Correct.
of schools, and I did ask you what policies do you hope to develop and implement?
So the two major initiatives that I'm pushing for here in the state of Georgia for as a superintendent of school is that of school choice. So I believe that parents, not the school system, get to decide what learning environment their child would best thrive in, and that is why they need an expanded Promise Scholarship Act. So we have a Promise Scholarship Act in the state of Georgia, but it only covers you families that want to take their children out of the school system, but it only covers those whose children attend a school that's in the bottom 25 percentile academic of the state. And if you're currently homeschooling your child or your child is in private school, you're not eligible. So I said, let's take out all that red tape and expand it to, instead of 6,500, which is the current voucher, to 8,000. And so let's make it a true school choice voucher where any parent across the state gets to decide what learning environment will fit. So that's it. And that we've talked about at length now, that is that of pushing for every high school student to obtain a high school diploma in addition to a trade school certificate.
My computer was my system was dying just now. I had to fix it, and I don't think it's fixed
Okay,
yet.
not a problem.
There we go.
It looks like it's still recording, so we should be good.
This is the Neoliberal Around podcast.
There we go. All right, so that sounds interesting. One of the other questions I wanted to follow up with is you mentioned the fact that you want to bring about equal opportunity for in Georgia. You want to tie preparation for school, for education, with work. And I was doing some research in Georgia, and I saw that Georgia is pretty much doing is highly ranked in terms of workforce readiness. In fact, I think it's number one in the country. So I want to ask, what specifically is missing? What gap do you see that others may be overlooking? Because I mean, Georgia seems to be doing very well in terms of preparing students for the world of work. You're number one, I think, from K2 to work. So I mean, the question is, what is missing even now? What more can you provide?
So we need to emphasize literacy. So 70% of our fourth graders are not proficient in reading. So that's the number that concerns me. So if we are graduating students that are not reading, how truly are we preparing them for the workforce, right? 76% of our eighth graders are not proficient in math. And that's going to limit a lot of the jobs, even the trade school certificates that they can go out and attain if they're not able to do basic math. And so those are the issues that I would like to tackle. I believe that we are in a dire need of leadership. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but Mississippi passed us in the national rankings. So Georgia ranks 38th in the nation, and Mississippi passed us. And they did that by leadership and focusing on literacy. So that's where I can come in. I believe that my leadership's expertise over 30 years of leadership expertise is going to best prepare me for the role of Georgia Superintendent of Schools.
And of course, I would love to learn more. There's an episode that we do with What's Your Story. I didn't say we were going to do What's Your Story, but I would love to hear what new you bring. What is different about you? What you bring to the table? What is your story that equips you for this role and for this time in terms of bridging the gap, bringing this and leading the schools into the 21st century?
Well, for starters, we need to have someone that has experience running a trade school, that has the passion of that, right? Not only did I run a trade school for 20 years, but I also obtained a trade certificate when I was in high school. And so when I push for trade certificates, I'm pushing for that, not just for students who are not college bound, but also for those that are college bound. And it's super important for those that are college bound as well to have that as a backup, right?
Yes.
But also it allows them to have a built-in internship, right? So that's what I did with my trade certificate. I worked while I was in college, and so it served as a built-in internship. And the minute I finished college, my college degree, I also had experience in the industry. So that is why I'm pushing for every graduate, not just those that are not college bound, to obtain a trade school certificate. So I have the passion, I have the experience. So that is why I believe I'm going to be the best suited for this position.
Yeah, I was reading where you said earlier that you emphasize quality education for all, but We know that funding disparities often mirror income and geography. So I wanted to ask you, how do you plan to equalize access in under-resourced communities without simply redistributing already limited funds? And of course, I did see where, if I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, Buford and Ocorny in Georgia, they seem to be doing very well. They're some of the top two districts in Georgia, and they, in terms of when they are the in terms of their incomes, majority of the people in they are the more affluent communities in Georgia, and the students do perform pretty well. So I wanted to find out, how do you plan to equalize access in under research? Because maybe they can provide the kind of quality education that you talk about, but what about the other areas, and how do you plan to equalize access in under research communities other than these other Buford and so on?
That is a great question. Here's the thing: we need to change the outdated, complicated QBE budgetary system that we
Oh,
have here in the state of Georgia. And so that the current system does favor those wealthier, affluent areas because the money follows the institution. What I would like to see is where the money follows the student. So I would like for us to have a, completely scrap our QBE budgetary system, which we've had since 1984.
okay,
And
wow.
I want us to have a purely very simplified budgetary system, similar to what Florida has, where the
Okay,
money follows the student. That's easy to audit. We have so many scandals here in the state of Georgia with superintendents that are, basically resigning over mismanagement of funds. Why? Because we have a system that lends itself to that. It's complicated. It's lends itself to corruption. So that is what I would like to do. Secondly, you've heard of alternative schools, right?
yeah.
I believe we need to completely scrap that program altogether. A lot of
What?
times I do. This is what I
Taking
like
away
first.
people's bread.
This is what I like to do. Instead of
Okay,
calling them alternative schools, let's call them opportunity schools and
okay,
make them where every student that attends an opportunity school is
yeah,
guaranteed to get a trade school certificate upon graduation. So
yes,
most
yes,
most students that go to these alternative schools currently as they are designed, they're just babysitting them and just giving them credits so that they can graduate. We don't want that. That's a waste of our resources and a waste of their time. We need to make sure that we are preparing every single one of our students for a future. And so that is why I'd like to completely rebrand them into opportunity schools and make sure that they are teaching students relevant trade, you know, skills so that
yes.
they can be full members of society, contributing members of society.
We're talking with Dr. Nelva Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Passionate, powerful. I'm liking her already. She's running to be the next superintendent of schools in Georgia. You got to check her out. We have some more questions for you, a few more before you wrap up. Now, I did
Okay.
ask you about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, but and of course, you expressed concern that some DEI programs or framework prioritize identity over merit. Now, how do you address systemic inequities that are themselves rooted in identity, history, and access?
Dr. Condoleezza Rice once said, education is the great equalizer. And I believe that. And I'm living proof of that. I made the decision when I was a freshman in high school that I would be one of the first in my family to obtain a college degree. I worked hard, earned straight A's, and lo and behold, here I am with a doctorate, right? So
Yes,
I do not believe that, I truly believe that education is the answer for equality. Okay, I truly believe that to my core. So I want to make sure that we have access to good education. That is what I'm fighting for. I want to make sure that every student in Georgia that wants to succeed succeeds.
yeah,
Okay, whether that means a college degree or not, I want to make sure that they all have all of the opportunity, all of the tools necessary. That means literacy needs to be our focus in the early grades.
yes,
Math needs to be our focus in the from K to 3, it's literacy. From 4th to 8th grade, it's math. And then from
yeah,
9th to 12th, getting them a trade school certificate. So every
yes,
single one of those blocks, if we do those well, guess what? We don't have to worry about inequality on the other hand, on the
yeah.
other
And
end.
Yeah, and I did see math. I mean, I think I saw math there ranked 30th in the country. So math is really still a concern in terms
Exactly.
of Georgia. And I have a follow-up question in terms of, can you point to examples where DEI has failed, and what specifically would you do differently to ensure though that those same communities are not left behind?
So, you know that I am not just a Black woman, but I'm also a Hispanic one. And so
Okay.
I believe that the number one thing that we need to do in communities of color, in communities that are, you know, uh, historically disadvantaged,
Yeah.
is to prioritize education. And I know this might sound very cliche and it might sound repetitive, but we don't do that enough in our communities.
Yeah.
We just don't. And so if our communities prioritize education, we will not have to worry about, I don't know if you're aware of this, but most prisons are built based on the literacy rates of fourth graders. So if we're not prioritizing
Yeah.
literacy in our communities, all we're doing is building more prisons, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we're not prioritizing math and making sure that all of our students, all of our children are ready for the STEM jobs of the future, all we're doing is limiting their choices, limiting their options. Okay? So as a community of Black and brown people, we need to step up and ensure that we are taking care of our own and ensuring that they have all the opportunities afforded to them. With literacy, number one, math
Yes.
skills, number two. Okay.
Yes.
And having those early talks with our kiddos about what do you want to do? What kind of skill do you want to have before you graduate high school so that you are workforce ready from day one?
Wow. Thank you. And I have a final question
Sure.
because yes, the question is, you speak about creating opportunity systems. Do you see yourself not just as a policymaker, but as someone actively responsible for generating those opportunities? And what does that look like beyond policy? What are you building right now that reflects that vision?
Got it. Well, you know already my history of building a trade school, and I did that for 20 years. Um, I really believe that I'm just built for policy and advocacy, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I here's the thing. One of my favorite quotes is "Be the solution, be the change that you wish to see in the world," and that's a famous quote from Gandhi. And if everybody took that mantle, we wouldn't have children that couldn't read, right?
Yeah.
We can't just blame it on the parents. It's
No.
they're in a community. All
Yes.
right. So if everyone took the mantle of saying, I'm going to be the change that I wish to see in the world, we will have children. We wouldn't have children that are failing and that are being left behind. And so yes, I do see myself as a change maker.
Yeah.
I take that very seriously. And that is why I'm running for superintendent of schools.
That is powerful. We're speaking with Dr. Nelva Lee. Such an amazing opportunity. We're having a 30-minute discussion, and we went fast. This is one of the best quick conversations I've ever had. You are an amazing woman. You are enigmatic, and I love that. What is your hope for the next 5, 10 years? In terms of the Georgia education system, and where are you going after this? After Georgia, after this, what you plan to do after that?
Well, first of all, I need to win my primary. So if
Yes.
any of your listeners live in the state of Georgia, they need to vote for me so that I can at
Okay.
least get that right under my belt. Uh,
Yes.
Definitely, if I'm Georgia superintendent of schools, we're not going to be 38th anymore. So that's my number one goal, is
All right.
getting in there and changing things from the ground up, right? Changing the culture and ensuring that our students get a better chance, right? Because these all the statistics that I gave you, that's not what I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for children with real names and real futures, right?
Yeah.
Not just for the statistics and the numbers. So yes, that is the goal. I would love to be able to say 5 years, 10 years from now, that because of my leadership, Georgia became number one
What
in the
is it?
nation.
What drives you? What is it that drives you What it is that drives you, that keeps you going and creating and serve? What it is?
I'm going to make a plug here for Jesus. I truly believe that it's my relationship with my Savior, for sure.
Yes,
And coming into Holy Week, I think that's appropriate to say that.
indeed. Well, yes, it is. It is Holy Week. Well, thank you so much. And do you have a family and friends who are supporting you?
Of course. Yes, I've been married to my husband and best friend for 25 years. I have three
Okay.
amazing kiddos and very supportive family, for sure.
And you know, and she keeps herself looking young and beautiful. 25 years. I thought she was 25.
Oh,
Ladies and
wow. Thank
gentlemen,
you. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
man. Any final word you'd like to share with our audience?
I would love for anyone that would like to connect with me to go to my website, drnelvalee.com. You'll see my social media handles there, other podcast interviews, my platforms, my speeches, all of that. drnelvalee.com.
Thank you so much, Doc. It was such a pleasure talking with you. And please
Likewise.
support Dr. Nelva Lee, drnelvalee.com. She's running to be the superintendent of schools in Georgia. I'm Renaldo McKenzie of the Neoliberal podcast and the neoliberal.com. Please visit us on any stream. We're on Apple, Spotify, we're on YouTube, and we are growing. Thank you so much for supporting us, and continue to support our guests. And we like what they're doing, and all the people that come on the show, we support them. So thank you so much. And we're all about serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges by making popular what was the monopoly. What good? What good, Dr. Nelva? And I'm going to stop the recording here.
This is the Neoliberal Round Podcast.